my thoughts about having a mental illness of identity. And sometimes it's a state of thinking that, oh my god, like, am I just it's like, am I predisposed to crash out? Am I predisposed to, you can't fix it, that's how you are and that's it. And um in most cases, it's resolvable thoughts, after some ego dystonic days, or you know certain time. You're just like, okay, now I'm happy with my being and with me as a person. But the problem is your memory is limited, and it's linked to identity, and it's super hard to negotiate it with yourself while you're down, especially if you have some mood swing disorder as well. On top of it, and I think I had one. And you have, on top, you have autism. But well, let's not think negatively right now. I want to just discuss it, like the understanding. Like, okay, so I understand I have a covert borderline personality disorder. What's my options? And my options is very, very limited. I understand I'm fucked for life. You know, with the abandonment and anxiety, and my my the way I talk to people, and the way my ideal partner is. I understand it's not achievable at all. I understand it, and that's why it's oh, fuck with your brain that you have to be a schizo, you have to sit in your room, sit in your apartment, never talk to people. And I understand it's all the bullshit. It's all a cognitive distortion and etc. So the understanding of your mental illness is just somatic. Like, I'm not saying somatic, I'm talking about cerebral. It's a cerebral understanding. Like, cerebral meaning you understand it logically, you understand it like intellectually, you observe it, but you cannot fix it. You cannot just fix your life. Your 22 years of life living as a BPD person, you cannot fix it. And you cannot fix the partner, you cannot fix your family, you cannot fix it. And you're in a position where you are just even envy because somebody don't have covert borderline. So my friends have, one of my friends, so I understood that the ideal partner for me is a quiet borderline. If we're talking about girls, if we're talking about even male friends, of course there's a narcissism in male, there's a lot of narcissism in male BPD. But the ideal partner is white borderline. But I tend to be super envious about why other borderlines is not so hard to them to talk with each other. They're not really internalize it as I am, and not so angry as I am, and think like that. So you tend to be envious of other cluster B disorders, because there's no other choice for me but to talk with these people. Because my option last option is cluster B, because normal people would not accept me. It's a hard way. It's a very stressing way as well. It's just the opposite type of stress when you're talking with normal people. And when you're talking with cluster B, you're not fitting in. Like, you're not like fully fitting in with narcissists. You're not fully fitting in with borderlines. So your only option is histrionics, and you're not fitting in with them as well. So it's very, very, very hard situation to be in, because even though I come from the family that was isolating me from my birth, everywhere I go, picking me up from school and shit like that, I would never go and get my own. Like, maybe that's why I even cover borderline in the first place. But even though my family is isolating and always isolated me and controlled me, I understand that I myself isolated myself. I'm just isolated as a biological fucking thing. Because I'm born like this. I have the predisposed condition, and I have the certain family, certain friends. I'm fucking isolated in the circle, can't get out of it. And the only option to get out of it is to fucking stop talking at all, which is super stressful as it is. So, um, because I understand that my tendencies to say, "Oh, I don't need people," is not real. It's not real. I need people. But that's a cognitive distortion and a dissonance in my brain. That's why I don't want to really connect with people. But at the same time, I need it, and I'm isolated. And if it's not, so I have the same male, I have the same mate selection, not male, mate selection. I have the same mate selection, people selection. Like I said, what's more familiar is cluster B, and I have the same mate selection, because not even because it's benefiting me at some point. No, it's just it's more familiar and easy to talk with these people for me. is an exchange at some point. And I understand that a lot of people using me as a, and maybe I'm doing it myself, but I understand that many people, kind of using me for, so they don't really like the company of me. They just using me for a talk. They just not in my case, because I like the company. I would like to get some hobby going on, or some, the thing going on, the job going on. But other people understand that is I'm kind of faking it maybe, or I'm just like not fitting in fully, and that's why they're using me for just a slight moment. And that's why I'm just like depressed. That's why I'm when this moment's happening, I'm depressed. But when I'm not talking to anyone and I'm not like um so I'm having the sense of autonomy. I'm still kind of stressed out and I'm still kind of sad, not depressed. I'm still kind of like a sad person that is alone. And that's the whole point. That's why my even motivation is to get money, because that's the only friend, quote unquote, that is always accepting you and can buy you emotions and always positive emotions and things like that. That's quote unquote your best friend, your best marriage, best wife and things like that. That's why a lot of rappers say, "Oh, I'm married to money," because that's like a ultimate. It's like a last option. Really, if you're talking about it for real, it's a fucking last option to get something, the pleasure from life. But I know it's false. And in my last video, I was doing it at night, and I understand that I need the balanced life. I don't need to be going deep into relationship. I don't need to be going deep in career, uh, because it's crushing me. Every time I do it deep, every time I do it intense, every time I do it with my whole heart, love that I wanted to get from it or to give, I'm scratching out. It's not fitting my um it's not fitting uh the way I look at it. Like the final result for me is not what I want. It's always disappointing. You know what I'm saying? So I forgot the word, but that's why I'm never, and I'm never satisfied. That's why. And I know the problem is mental illness. The problem is mental disorder. Understanding that you have it doesn't change you as a person. That's why it's so tricky. It does. It could teach you some emotional control, not some. It could teach you emotional control, like definitely. It could teach you some tricks to not fuck your life over with certain people, like narcissists. It could teach you some like tactics to cope with the bad object and things like that. It could teach you some of that. It's definitely improving your quality of life, but it's not really changing your life. So you're kind of predisposed and you kind of always observing yourself, not actually like you're limited at some point. You're limited, you're emotionally limited. You're a real human being, but you're kind of emotionally limited, and that's this emotional deficiencies controlling you from inside and from outside. Because if you are always stressed, always crashing out, you are can't believe people, you always paranoid, you are not approving authority over you and things like that. It's really controlling you from inside. So that's what I'm saying is you can't really just read about the mental illness and that's it. I'm cured, you know. Even the therapies, I understand the therapies is just to to kind of like I said, like get all the memories and thoughts on point and be more emotionally controlled, like be more. So it teach you that, it teach you your responses and impulses. It teach you how to control it. And I don't know, maybe some people kind of could learn it while they're maturing and while they're growing up. But really, in my case, bro, like I learned it all. Like I was watching videos for a year, but it's still like I'm still kind of controlled by it. And it's easy to say, oh, fucking, to lay down and be depressed. Like I said, it's easy. That's what I'm doing right now. But I'm not really depressed. And it's and like this thing is teaching you that this knowledge is teaching you that, okay, this is another episode of the bad object for whatever reason, for health. Maybe the health triggered that. Maybe the sickness triggered that, like a virus sickness or something like that. Maybe some conflict, and it gonna go away. It gonna go away. That's how the knowledge is manifesting. That's how the knowledge is manifesting, and you understand it all. It's easier to live it to have this intellectually stored knowledge about yourself, but you still kind of controlled by it. So if you're not egocentric, and if you have a bad object, meaning you cannot just, your quality of life at this in this day is weak, and you are hurting. and you can't change it. So yeah, so that's how the knowledge is manifesting. But it's way easier to live knowing who are you and who are the people around you. It's way easier, and even the knowledge is teaching you about a lot of psychological aspects of, let's say, business negotiations in business, and it's cool, but it's not changing you. So yeah, that's my thoughts.